Hi, and welcome to Stay Fit with Joy 360 Degrees of Core Focus. In this workout, we're going to concentrate on the upper part of the core, and not just the abs, but the core all the way around from the front, sides, and the back. So we'll take it in various positions, and we'll concentrate on upper body movements that will engage the core. Okay, so for the first two exercises that we're going to do, we're going to first have extended legs lying all the way down, fingertips behind the ears, chin off of the chest, and we're going to lift the shoulders up and down for some crunches with those legs staying extended. Second exercise, we're going to bend the knees, feet flat, shoulders are going to be lifted, core is going to be engaged, and we're going to do heel taps. So you're going to side crunch, reaching for those heels. So those are going to be the first two exercises that we're going to do. And we'll have that little 10-second rest in between both of them and do them for a second set, 30 seconds each one, and for one set and also a second set. I'm going to start the clock. Okay, so start to set your position, extending the legs out, fingertips behind the ears, chin off of the chest, elbows back, getting ready to lift those shoulders up and crunch with those extended legs. And go. So we're crunching, our legs are remaining extended, shoulders are coming up and lowering down. Think about focusing on using those upper abs to lift and lower the shoulders. Do not pull at the head or the neck. Keep the chin off of the chest and keep that core engaged. Make sure you're breathing, not holding that breath. Lifting and lowering. Lower down, bend the knees, lift the shoulders up, engage the core, and go for those heel taps. So side crunch, reaching for those heels, keeping those shoulders lifted, keeping that core engaged, working through the upper part of those abs. Make sure you're not tucking the chin in, not pulling at the head or the neck. Really using that core to remain lifted and reach for those heels. Make sure you're breathing, don't hold that breath. And relax, extend the legs, you can extend the arms, take a little bit of a stretch. We're gonna go back to that first exercise. So keep those legs extended, start to set your position. And go back to those extended leg crunches. Shoulders up and down. Breathing, engaging that core. Keeping those legs extended, not pulling at that head or neck, keeping the chin off of that chest. Focus on that good form and breathe. Almost there. Bend the knees, lift the shoulders up, and reach for those heels, heel taps. Keep that core engaged, keep that core lifted, and reach. Almost there. Keep reaching, keep lifting. Keep that core engaged and challenged. And relax. Hug those knees in. Okay, so I'm going to preview those next two exercises that we're going to do. For this one, feet are flat, knees are going to be bent. Fingertips behind the ears, chin is off of that chest. We're going to lift and reach the arms out to the side and back down. Lift and reach the arms out to the side and back down. And then our second exercise is going to be to reach across, keep the shoulders lifted, and reach across to the other side of those legs. So again, focusing on those upper abs to do that. So set your position, feet flat, knees bent, fingertips behind the ears, chin is off the chest. We're going to lift and reach and extend the arms out and away from the body as we come up. Lift and reach and lower back down. Take a little bit of a hold when you come up and then lower back down. Lift and reach and lower back down. Lift and reach and lower back down. Engage the core, reach outside of those legs and back down. Lift and reach and lower back down. Lift and reach and lower back down. Nice and strong. Use those upper abs to lift, reach out and away from the body and lower back down. Get that last one in. Lift the shoulders up, hold, reach across, come to the center. Now you're lifting and keeping those shoulders lifted off of the ground the entire time. Even when you come back to the center, the shoulders remain lifted, and then you cross and reach outside of the opposite leg. Make sure you're breathing, keeping that chin off the chest, elbows back as you come through the center. Reach across, back to the center. Reach across, back to the center. and lower down. Extend, reach, take a little bit of a stretch. We're going back to that first move. Bend the knees, feet flat, knees bent, reset. Fingertips behind the ears, chin off the chest. Lift and reach, and lower back down. Lift and reach, and lower back down. Lift and reach outside the legs, lower back down. Really get that little hold and pause at the top as you extend those arms out and away from the body. Lift, reach, and lower back down. Extend and hold. Make sure you breathe every time you lift. Nice and strong, up and hold, and back down. Good, lower down, but lift the shoulders up. Start with the upper abs engaged and the shoulders lifted, and then cross and reach to the other side and outside of that body. Cross and reach, cross and reach, cross and reach. Every time you come to the center, you're remaining lifted with the shoulders off of the ground and the upper abs engaged. As you cross over, you're using those obliques, reaching outside of that leg. And lower down, take a little bit of a stretch. Hug the knees in. And the last two exercises in this position, we're gonna remain seated and we're gonna have our knees just about slightly bent. From this position, we're gonna extend those arms out to the front and lower down nice and slow just till that lower back hits and rise back up. So you're not gonna bring the shoulders and head all the way down, just till the lower back hits and then engage and pull back up. Second exercise, we're gonna lower back just slightly until you feel the core is engaged, and you're gonna take it side to side for those Russian twists right here, okay? Those are our next two exercises. I'm gonna set the clock and we're gonna do 30 seconds each for those. Okay, so let's set our position for the first exercise. Slight bend in the knees, arms extended out to the front. You can rotate them however you want, palms facing each other or down, completely up to you. Start to engage that core, and nice and easy, lower down till your lower back hits, and then rise back up to that seated position. Keeping those knees just slightly bent, and using that core to really focus on lowering down nice and slow, and then rising back up. Once again, just until that lower back hits, shoulders stay off the ground, and then pull through that core to rise you back up and into that seated position. Nice and slow and controlled for these. Good, let's roll back just slightly until you feel that engagement and take it side to side. Hands can be in that prayer position and you're rotating one side to the other, bringing that elbow towards the floor, and then back and rotate to the other side. Keeping those knees slightly bent as you twist, side to side, engaging that core, breathing as you rotate. Nice and strong, holding your position. And sit it up nice and tall. You can take a little bit of hug in, get a little bit of a rest, and we're going back to that first exercise. Slightly bend, extend the arms out, nice and slow, lowering down just until that lower back hits, and really engage that core to come back up. Round that spine down from the lower spine, and then just to the middle spine and back up. Beautiful, breathe and extend. Keep those arms extended out in front of you. Keep that core really strong and engaged. And breathe and pull up. Nice and strong. So the lower body's just holding you in position. Upper body's moving. Lower back just slightly. Hands in prayer. Russian twist side to side. Last exercise in this position. And then we rotate to the side. Keep it nice and strong and finish it out. About 15 seconds left right here. Almost done. Don't hold that breath. Make sure you're keeping that chest open. You don't want to round forward. Open chest, engaged back. Chin is off that chest. Good. Last twist and relax. Good. Hug it in and take that little rest. Okay, so we're going to move to position 2 and we're going to do that on the side. So now we're going to tackle the core from the side position, our second position. We're going to be taking it onto our side with the bottom knee bent and the top leg extended. So it's kind of gonna be in that side plank position. We're gonna start with that hip down. We're gonna extend the arm back. This is your first exercise. We're gonna bring the elbow into the hip and lift the hip up at the same time. You can take a rest in between each one if you need to. That's up to you, okay? Or you can really move a little bit quicker. It's gonna be how you feel in that position. If at any time it's too much to lift and lower, just work on this move right here, keeping the hip down and rested, okay? Second exercise, we're gonna hold the hips up, we're gonna reach through and rise back up. And same thing here, if you need to drop the hip, do the same movement with the hip onto the floor until you get stronger to keep that hip lifted. So we're gonna be doing that on one side, and we've got to flip and do the same thing onto the other side. So we've got to do it 2 times, 1 on each side. We're gonna do 2 sets on one side, then we'll flip to the other side, reset the clock, and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so set your position, elbow directly underneath the shoulder, bottom knee bent, top leg is extended, arm is extended behind you. We're gonna be pulling that elbow into the hip and trying to raise that hip up at the same time that you bring that elbow into the hip. Go, squeeze and lift, and then lower back down. Squeeze and lift, and lower. At the same time, pulling the elbow in, and then extending the arm out. So you kind of side crunch it, and then reach and extend that arm back and away from your body. Squeeze and reach. Lift, squeeze, and reach. 10 more seconds. Nice and strong, working through the sides, and reach. Last 3, good. Perfect, now we're gonna leave the hips lifted, reach through and up. Reach through the body and up to the ceiling. Reach through the body and up to the ceiling. And remember, anytime if you need to, lower that hip down, do the same move here, just keeping that hip on the ground. If you can, lifted and rotating, reaching through and back up. So thread that arm underneath your body and back up. Last 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna lower down, just extend the arm, get a little bit of a stretch, and we're gonna do that one more time. Start to reset your body, elbow directly underneath the shoulder, arm is back, elbow into the hip, and the hip's gonna come up. Lift and crunch. Elbow into that hip and extend back. Elbow into that hip and extend back. Squeeze and lift. 15 seconds. Keep it strong, lift. 10 more seconds. One more exercise and we'll be done with this side. Get that last one in. Good, keep it lifted, extend the arm up, thread through the body, and reach up. Rotate and lift. Rotate and lift. And remember, if it's too much to keep that hip lifted, bring it here until you build strength. Maybe next time, maybe after doing this a few times, you'll be able to keep it lifted. And if not, it's fine, just do it with that hip down. You're still gonna get that rotation that you need. And release, perfect. Now we gotta flip it over to the other side. Set your position on the other side, bottom knee bent, top leg is extended. Reach that arm out and away. Get ready to lift the hip up and bring the elbow into the hip at the same time. And go, elbow into the hip and extend back. Lift and bring the elbow into the hip and extend back. Lift and extend. Lift and extend. Really engage that core, pull that belly button in towards your back, keeping everything nice and strong. Reach it. Extend elbow into that hip as you lift. Elbow into that hip as you lift. Good. Last 3. Good. Lift it, hold it, extend the arm, thread it through and underneath the body and up. So you're twisting and then back up. And remember, you've got that option to lower the hip down and do the same move, reaching through and back up, keeping that hip lower to the ground, but still getting that rotation. Here if you can, even if you just get a couple in this position, and then you lower back down, do that. See how many you can get in with that hip lifted, and then adjust if you need to. Good, lower. You wanna take that little stretch, just extend that arm underneath you, just stretch that shoulder, and start to reset. Arm comes back, elbow directly underneath the shoulder, lift that hip, and bring that elbow into that side. Second set definitely starts to get a lot harder. That shoulder that is supporting your weight definitely is taking on a little bit of work there. So again, if you need to bring it here and just focus on that movement through the side without the lift, totally fine. Second set's definitely a lot harder than the first. Good, lift and hold, reach through and back up. Again, option or challenge is to keep the hip lifted. If you need to take pressure off the shoulder or you're struggling to keep it up, that hip can come down. Same movement here without the hip lifted. You still are going to get that twist, which is what you're really looking for with this move. This is just going to make it harder as you are elevated and engage that core a little bit more. And release. Okay, so the last two exercises we're going to do is going to be belly down. So we're going to start in the all fours position here, which is called a bear pose when we lift the knees up. So right now we're in all fours, but what we're going to do for the first exercise is actually lift the knees off of the floor with a slight hover and then reach the arms out and away from the body. So we're going to have nice strong core engagement with upper body movements. Second exercise, we're going to lower all the way down, keeping our hands to our side, and we're going to lift that lower back, the upper part of the chest up, and then lower back down. So you're going to get that upper body movement here, but we're working the back, okay? But it's through movement of the upper part of the body, lifting our chest up, looking towards the ceiling. So those are going to be the two exercises that we're going to do. Bear pose position with the arms extended out in front of us, alternating. And option, if at any time it's too much to stay hovered, just put your knees down and extend from there. Okay, let's set that position. So we're going to come onto all fours, curl the toes under. We're going to lift our knees up when we start to hear that clock count down, getting set in that bear pose, and then do the upper body movement. Lift, hold, hover the knees off of the ground, as low to the ground as you can, and start to extend those arms out in front of you. So that lower body's still going to be challenged, having to hold that position, but it's upper body movement that's happening. We're working the core internally, so you're pulling that belly button up towards the spine, keeping it engaged and in position as you do this upper body movement. Make sure you're breathing and not holding your breath. Keep the knees bent. They're like about a 90-degree angle here. Keep your hands where they are. Extend the legs, lower down, keeping the hands right at your side. Lift, look up to the ceiling, and then lower back down. So you're pressing up, pushing those hands into the ground, using the back to lift your upper body up and off of the ground. Oh, good. You might not be able to come up that high, even if it's this small move, totally fine. As you get more flexible in that spine, stronger in that back, you can lift up a little bit more. Good, we have about 10 seconds. Why don't you sit back onto your heels, take a little moment, and then start to reset on all fours. Curl the toes under, lift and hover, and back to the alternating reaches right here. Engage that core and breathe. Extend those arms out and away. Remember, you can drop those knees to the floor if you need and just continue with that upper body movement. You got to build strength sometimes to get into the harder, more challenging move, which is those knees just hovering off of the ground. It's okay if you're not there yet. Work your way up to that position. Just get the movement through the upper body first. Lower the body down, keep the hands right at your side, extend the legs, lift, look up to the ceiling, rounding that spine, and lower all the way back down. Lift, extend, look up, and lower back down. Good, really get that press up as you get more flexible, more stronger through the back. You can make it a bigger move, and lower. Make sure you're breathing and not holding that breath. And sit back on those heels. Okay, so our final two exercises, we're taking it all the way down, belly down. So we're gonna lay all the way to the floor. We're gonna take one hand on the floor, one hand on top of that hand, like a sandwich. Then we're gonna take that hand that we stacked one on top of the other, place the forehead on top of that. We're gonna keep our feet on the ground and together, squeezing the glutes nice and tight, keeping the legs pressed to the floor. You're going to take the hands off of the ground with the forehead attached, using that back to lift yourself up, lifting the upper body. So it's going to look like this. Up and back down, lift and back down. So you can see my hands are pressed together and they're attached to my forehead when I lift. Now you might not be able to get up that high. That's okay. Go wherever you can go. From here, we're going to lift up into a full plank on our toes. And we're going to start upper body movement coming back. Now lifting the hips up, tapping for the knees, and back down. So you're gonna tap one hand to each knee every time that you lift those hips up to the ceiling. You are reaching for the knee and then come back down into that full plank. If you need to bring the knees to the ground, you'll take it here, okay? Definitely a lot easier in this position. So you're gonna try to do as many as you can up here and then bring it down on your knees only if you need to. So lowering all the way down, extending the legs, squeezing the glutes, pressing the feet together. Stack your hands one on top of the other. Place the forehead on top of those hands and get ready to lift the hands off the ground with the forehead attached. 30 seconds. Lift and lower back down. Try to keep those legs on the ground and just lift the hands and the upper body off of the ground as high as you can. And it's okay, even if you can't lift off of the ground, try to engage that back and do the little contraction wherever you can go is fine. Even if you're not lifting, try to contract like you're trying to take those hands off of the ground. Good, press up into that full plank, hands underneath your shoulders and you're right into those knee taps. Lift the hips up and then come back into that full plank position every time you tap. Back to that nice full plank position and then reach for the other side. Reach for the other side. Up and in towards your body, getting that little bit of a twist to come up, core engagement, and sit back on your heels. Get a little bit of a stretch and right back in position. One hand on top of the other, belly down, forehead on top of those hands, feet pressed together. Lift and lower back down. Lift and lower back down. Every time you lift, try to hold there a moment. Really engage the back. It's important to work the back side of that core, which is your back, not just the abs in front. You want to balance it out. You don't want to have strong abs and a weak back. That's where imbalances happen, and that is where you wind up getting injured. So you need to focus on the core all the way around, which is why I'm doing 360 degrees of core to that second exercise. In that full plank, I want you to think of your core as not just your abs in front, but all the way around your center. Not just the front part, not just the side, not just the lower abs or the upper abs. We are focusing on just the upper abs today, but tomorrow, or our next workout, we're doing upper abs, and then we'll focus on the core as a whole, upper, lower, and all around. Sit back onto your heels. So that is our workout number 1 for 360 degrees of core focus. We focused on the upper part of the core, not just in the front part for those abs, not just in those obliques, but all the way around. That is why I call it 360 degrees, because we're not just focusing on one part of the core, we're focusing on it all around. We're making that core strong from within, from the outside, from the muscles, from the stability of that core, from everywhere, from all the angles. The next workout that we're going to do for our 360 degree of core focus is going to be to focus on the lower part of the abs, but once again 360 degrees around. We're going to get movement from all those angles, starting with lying on our back, being back down, going to our sides, and then belly down. And we're going to do the same thing with that workout, making sure we hit all the angles for the lower abs. And then for our final workout, for our third workout for the 360 degrees of core focus, we will be focusing on upper and lower body movement together. Okay, so make sure that you check back, make sure you do this video, you get it all in so you're strong and ready to go into workout number 2 and then workout number 3, and then you'll really start to shape that core out to be strong all the way around.